I was chatting to my husband and a few friends earlier this morning saying, I'm actually going to be doing a talk on how to stay energized and passionate as a working mum. And they sort of said to me, God, you're crazy, aren't you? You know, you're giving birth in 5 weeks' time and you're talking about being energized. But for me, this is a subject which is, you know, I'm really passionate about working with women and supporting women, particularly who are working mums, and sort of providing some tools to help them. So what's entailed, for just to sort of outline for everyone, I wanted to keep this really relaxed and just more of a chat rather than a presentation. And I'd love to connect with you. So I know it's hard to say that when we're on technology, to connect, but what I would love is whilst I'm talking, I can tend to go off into tangents and stories, and you know, if there's anything that resonates with you, I would love you to just put your hand up and ask me a question if there's anything more that you would like to know. So please do that. I would love to make it really interactive. With why I'm doing this, it's really about providing tools and hopefully the learnings that I've had over the years in business, and as a mum, what's really helped me through the tough times and the good times, and hopefully there'll be some tools there that can help others. So just a little bit of background. You probably saw when you signed up on me. I am the founder of Flo Wellbeing. I've been working in the wellbeing space for about 10 years on and off, but my business background is that I worked in the corporate world and I was in marketing for a long time, and I reached a point where I literally burnt out. I was, you know, completely overwhelmed, full of anxiety, and I just needed some holistic tools to help me. So I turned to mindfulness meditation, and that pretty much just, you know, changed my life. I was able to really focus when I needed to, switch off when I needed to. And I had a really, really bad back from long demanding office hours. And I turned to Pilates, and Pilates pretty much fixed my back within 3 sessions. So I was blown away, and I was like, you know, these tools need to be offered to other people in my situation, and the education needs to be brought forward. So that's me in Flo Wellbeing, and I've been running that for about 4 years now. And I'm also involved in other businesses like Survival. I'm their brand manager, and I work with other small businesses to help them drive their growth. And I love being involved in business. It's a real passion of mine. I'm a mum to a very lively 4-year-old boy, and I'm about to have a baby in 5 weeks' time. So that's me. In a background. And in terms of what I want to talk to you about is really energy and how I keep that energy up to be a mum. And I'm sure, you know, a lot of you're juggling that, being a mum, wearing that mum hat, and then also in work and business, whether it's a side hustle, it's your business, or you're in a workplace. So how do we keep that energy up? Now, what I'm going to talk to you about is what works for me personally. And as I said, I've worked in the wellbeing industry for a long time and facilitated programs, you know, nationally, internationally, with some excellent facilitators. So I'm always listening to the research. I'm always studying. And what I really, really want to stress is this is all about what resonates for you. I can tell you what works for me, but there's an old saying that my dad always said, which is, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Okay, so, you know, people can tell you this is great, you know, do this, do that, but at the end of the day, it's down to you and listening and being intuitive and connecting with what's going to work for you. So what I'm going to start with is for energy levels, mine is really about how you start your day and how you end your day is really, really key. Like I call it bookends. So it's in the morning, setting yourself up properly, and also in the evening. So how you wind down is going to really set your energy levels up. So for me in the morning, I have a little saying that I've used in a lot of my content and when I talk to people, which is RAMPS, RAMPS. And that stands for, as soon as I wake up, is rehydration. The amount of women that will say to me during the day, oh, I've got such a headache, I think it's my neck, I need to go to a chiropractor, I'm just, in a lot of pain all the time. And actually I'll say to them, how much water have you drunk? And have you started your day with enough water before you have your tea, before you have your coffee? So rehydration is my first thing, is drinking lots and lots of water to get the energy flowing and oxygenating your body. A is for air, and that is to get out into nature. So now that I'm heavily pregnant, I'm not running or walking as much, but I'm actually getting out and trying to connect in nature and getting that air as much as possible. Obviously with the rain recently, that wasn't as possible. If there was a break, I'm just making sure that I'm ticking that box and getting that connection with nature and getting that fresh air. It's really important. The next one, which I'm going to go into a lot more, which I'm super passionate about, is meditation. Meditation for me, no matter how short it is, starting the day, connecting with yourself is really, really important. And we'll go into that a bit more. The other one for P is to practice gratitude. And just to make sure that you're flooding yourself with those positive hormones, and just being grateful for those small things is going to set your mindset into a really, really positive fashion to start the day. And stretching. So stretching and getting our body moving, but slowly, and again, connecting to yourself. So, because I feel like I'm just going to keep waffling on, I would love us as a group now to just a couple of things that we feel connected as a group, is I would love us to just bring our right arm up. Great. And I'm not going to make you do anything crazy, but we're just going to go for a little stretch. Like, keep your head back in line with your spine. Okay, and just hold it there, okay? And just feel like if you've been rushing around in business meetings, you've been a mum this morning, is just feel where your tightness is. Drop your shoulders, lengthen through your neck and spine, and just breathe. Reach through your fingertips and slowly come back, okay? So it's just taking time for yourself and your body. Bringing your left arm up, keep your head back again, drop your right shoulder, and then just reach. That's it, good. And again, feel like, oh, that's actually tighter than the other side. Have you noticed that in your body? Again, have you just been rushing around? And have you noticed and have you connected in your body? So every morning, it's actually taking the time to slowly connect with your body and then slowly bring it back, okay? And then again, shoulders. So keep the head long. And in the morning when you wake up, it's just those couple of minutes to actually slowly feel yourself, okay? So rolling the shoulders. That's it, keep your head lifted. Like some of you may feel like your neck is poking forward, but just keep that head lifted and then roll your shoulders forward. So I find one of the biggest issues we have as mums is that we're just always human doings rather than human beings. Does anyone else agree that we're just do? Yeah, so it's just taking these moments in the morning to feel, okay, I'm grateful for my body, I'm serving everyone else in my family, but how am I feeling? In my shoulders, in my spine. And then again, just a simple twist that I would do, like I would always try and take my spine into 3 different directions for energy levels, which is side, so lateral flexion, okay? And then I would always do a twist as well, because a twist is where you're just going to open your spine and just get that movement and that juicy vertebrae moving in rotation. So we're just going into a nice twist, and then also just doing some like lovely roll down. So the twist, some of you are trying, is just keep your hips forward and you just really move. Obviously I've got a massive baby in my belly, so it's hard for me to twist further, but you're just going to keep that space as you move. Keep your hips forward like flashlights and just rotate and let your eyes follow. So you get this lovely, delicious movement in your spine, and that's going to energize you in the morning. Neglecting our bodies is not going to help us. And just roll the shoulders. That's it. And just roll the neck. Again, if you're working, doing a lot of desk work, and particularly if you're not set up at home with the desk well, and you're holding a lot of tension, again, just waking up in the morning, starting your day, and just feeling where you're tight is going to be really, really impactful. Just tiny tools. And now, ladies, okay, last one, just a practical one, is we're not going to go into a deep meditation. I'll be talking about that after, but just take your hands onto your ribs, okay? And just sitting tall. And again, have you taken a moment today to really breathe? So keeping your shoulders back, just softening your gaze or closing your eyes. And again, now just taking a lovely long deep breath in through the nose, filling up the ribs. And just take a nice big exhale and just let go of any stress, any tension that you've got. And again, nice long deep inhale and just slowing everything down. And we're just going to do nice 5 deep breaths. Just allow your bodies to just drop in. If your mind is wandering, just acknowledge it. Bring it back to your breath. 3 more. And last one. Nice deep breath. And nice big exhale. And bringing ourselves back. Great. So taking that time every morning, and I understand with a lot of mums, and I've had these questions over and over again, what if I can't find that time in the morning? You know, I'm straight into being a mum, and I understand. I mean, I have personally, my husband's a tradesman, so he's up at 5, and my son wakes at 6, very active, ready to go. So I make sure my husband wakes me up at half, you know, just before he leaves, and then I've got my window. And I completely stand by that every day if I can. If he's up, obviously if he's sick, if things are happening, then as a mum, you know, you have to prioritize, and then I'll come back to doing that self-care later on in the day. But for me, that is, I'm going to be better at my job, my work, my business, and as a mum if I prioritize that every morning. If I don't do that every morning, I will notice my energy levels completely collapse in the day because I haven't set myself up properly. So that's my tip for starting the day. I hope that resonates with some of you. I'm going to keep myself on track. And again, jump in if you've got any questions, if any of this resonates or you want to ask anything, let me know. But I understand, you know, it's tough having that juggle and prioritizing yourself to keep your energy up and do everything, you know, as a mum and as a business owner and working. So what I want to talk to you about now in terms of energy levels is multitasking. So who feels that they're good at multitasking? Just raise your hand. Okay, a couple of us. I think the thing is we wear, as mums, we wear this badge of honor, like I'm great at multitasking. You know, I can do this. I've got the washing going on. I've got the kids. I'm planning the social activities. I'm also delivering proposals whilst I'm on the phone doing a business deal, etc., etc. We know from research that multitasking is awful, okay? It is the worst killer at energy. It's going to take your brain so many different directions that will just burn the energy and it will just make you feel deflated. So it's really, really tough. And it's a lesson that I've learned very well in the last couple of years, is to keep my energy up, is to try as much as I can to stay on one task at a time, or to practice mindfulness. And with that, what I just wanted to give you an example with, I know people were saying, well, but how do I do that? Because obviously I've got so much going on, particularly with those of you that are working from home, is when you're doing tasks. So when you are, let's say, doing the washing up or putting the washing out, is to try to remember to leave your phone away from you when you're doing those activities, and to actually feel, you know, the hot water on your skin when you're washing the dishes, to be aware of sounds that are around you, to take in what's going on visually, what sounds you can hear, what you can feel. The more you can stay in the moment, the more energy you're going to have. If you are doing the washing, speaking on the phone, and actually looking at a TV screen as well at the same time, the amount of energy that you're burning to try and flick from one thing to the other is just going to drain you and deplete you. So my big tip is with multitasking is try not to do it. And I know that's really hard. And even someone who's a massive advocate for mindfulness, I've studied mindfulness, and I still will, try, jump from things, but is to try and practice and be aware of jumping back and forward. So hopefully that helps, that you can just try and practice being mindful and in the moment with whatever you're doing. If you're eating, again, try not to be on your phone when you're eating. That multitasking of your brain is going to just wipe you out. Okay, so if there's any moment you have, try and use it and be in that moment. Yes, Abby.
Mandy, I'm a terrible, well, I used to say I was a proud multitasker, but I'd say now I'm a terrible multitasker. I never feel like I'm actually ever getting anything achieved as well. Yeah. And I'm now aware that I need to do less multitasking. Have you found that you actually get as much, if not more, achieved by doing one thing at a time? In your experience?
In my experience, I get things done a lot better when I'm more focused. Yeah. So I'll produce things in terms of, if I'm trying to be creative, if I'm trying to do something for work, then it will be, delivered so much better if I'm in the moment and I'm focused. In terms of how I feel as a mum. So if I'm in my mum role, like I have my son every Friday, and if I'm in my mum role and I'm trying to talk to him whilst I'm doing something and I'm like looking at a business idea, I will feel so much more drained after about 5 or 10 minutes. So in relation to what we're talking about today with energy levels, if you can just focus on that thing and that thing only and say, I'll come back to that in a minute. Same with being a mum or in a family situation, is if you can try and stay in that moment and then come back to the other thing afterwards, you'll have a lot more energy. A lot more.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so mindfulness is going to be key. Like I speak to a lot of women regularly, and they'll say to me, I just feel so exhausted, I feel so overwhelmed. And I will say to them, just a simple thing like going out for a mindful walk is, so powerful. Like actually walking on your own for 5 minutes and looking at the trees, feeling the breeze, smelling what you can, like being in the moment is going to then bring your brain back into gear, that you're in the moment. With meditation is going to be what's going to help you practice that self-awareness. So it's going to help you train your brain to be here and right now. So the power of meditation. How many of you ladies that are with us now, how many of you have tried or are practicing meditation? Just a raise of hands. Okay. All right, so there's a few of us, okay, that tried it. And how many of you found it really difficult? Okay, so meditation, when you first start, it can be so overwhelming where you just think, I just can't do this. My brain is just not, I've got too much going on. I need to do the washing. I've got to get this out. I don't have time for this, okay? And the thing is with meditation is we have got so much information thrown at us in today's world. We've got apps for everything. We have got so much information overload. There's no wonder that a lot of us are burning out. And particularly with mums, we've also then got the whole running of the family. So we need to take this time to really have a moment and connect with ourselves, connect with our intuition, connect with our breath, connect with our body, and just give our brains a rest. So for me, meditation has really changed my life. I found it really difficult at first. It took me a good couple of years to keep persevering with it. And now I use it all the time. So as I said, I use it in the mornings to start my day. if I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I've had a couple of big presentations in the business world, I'll drop into meditation on a bus, on a train for 5 minutes, and it will just give me that clarity and that energy to come back around. And I think that's really good you can use it in the family environment. You can, if you're feeling overwhelmed in your house, if you can lock yourself away, and just say to whoever, your children or your partner, I just need 5 minutes. And with that 5 minutes, you are breathing and you are just literally connecting with yourself and your breath. And if your mind is wandering, if your mind is going off and on and off and on and coming back, that's great. That's all part of it. When your brain wanders and you notice it and you bring it back to the present moment, that is training your brain. That's building your attention span. And that it's just like a bicep. If you go to a gym one day and you think, I'm going to build a bicep, you're not just going to go and do a few bicep curls and then you've got a big bicep. You've got to keep practicing. So the more you notice your brain wandering, brilliant, that's a great result. You're there and you're building your energy levels, and it will start to come, and you can do it anyway. You don't have to be sitting on a rock, in lotus position, which is the image we see of meditation. It's like, I haven't got time for that, to be in my yoga pants and, doing lotus position. You can do it anywhere. That's the beauty of it. And it's free. And it's going to give you so much energy, so much focus. So you'll be able to connect with your family and also be in the moment for your work as well. So my number one tip is to start meditating. And you don't have to have apps. You can pretty much just start with simple breath meditations, but just give yourself that time, just 5 to 10 minutes a day. The research is 20 minutes, which is when you start to get real change in your brain. But just make a start is my advice from there. Has anyone got any questions about meditation? Anything I've spoken about so far? Any questions? No? Okay. So, multitasking, no. Mindfulness activities when you can, with anything that you're doing for energy levels. Movement. The other thing I just want to address for energy is another key one is, and I'm sure you all know lots about it and you're aware of it. And again, it's something that's going to resonate with you if you notice it, is nutrition. Is making sure that you're eating well, drinking lots of water. But, again, as mums, I know how hard it can be, myself. And what I find works is prepping the night before. So if I'm making my husband some food for work, I'll think, right, I've got a few business meetings, I'm going to chop up some healthy snacks, I've got them ready, and then I know that I won't be tempted to grab sugar, which is just going to then crash and give me those drop in energy levels. And I know this is work because I'm listening to how I feel, and that's going to be a big thing for you guys and anyone listening, is really take note of your energy levels. Take note of how that chocolate bar feels after an hour. Anyone in the world can tell you, don't eat this, don't eat that, but have a feel in yourself and how that energy is for you. Because once you start to realize, actually, that made me feel rubbish and I had no energy later on. But when I ate a salad, actually, I sustained that energy and I felt really good all day, because that will affect your energy levels. So just looking into nutrition, a healthy diet, obviously balance. If you go out and have a big blowout and a big dinner the night before, then, trying to be healthy the next day, getting a juice in when you're out rather than 5 coffees, just being sensible for energy levels. It's just a simple one, Another big one is the people you surround yourself with. And I've really noticed that in the last couple of years from being more self-aware. And that is having those people that will, feel that they're draining your energy, and just making sure that you're protecting yourself when you're around them. So again, that mindfulness activity comes in, are they taking me off in a tangent, and then if you're feeling your energy's being drained, then again, just come back to the present moment. Like, what can I see? How do I feel? Can I feel my breath? Be in the present moment, and it won't drain you as much with those people if you have to be around them. Okay, because obviously there are people family, work colleagues you've got to work with who are going to drain your energy. If you have to be around, if you have to, then bring your awareness back. So that's really talking about energy, and staying energized is tools. It's life tools, it's well-being tools that are going to help you stay energized, and just try them out. Try a few things. Reach out to me, follow me with what I'm going to be doing. I'm all about, empowering women now. And if there's anything you want to ask, raise your hand or do get in touch. I'm probably going to move on to how to stay passionate now, which is, the two are linked, but let's go into that. Has anyone got any more questions on staying energized as a working mum? Any questions before I move on?
I just had a really quick question.
Yes, I can have a sip of tea, which is good.
Yeah, go for it. Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
I'm learning already. I think for me, I've been wanting to meditate for a really, really long time. And the thing that finally piqued my interest was when I heard something about a short meditation can be the equivalent of a really deep sleep.
Yes.
Which just sold me straight away. I was like, right, if I can emulate sleep without actually having to have a deep sleep or dealing with broken sleep of kids. So how much kind of credibility is there around that statement? I mean, and what's your experience in terms of feeling refreshed when you're really tired?
Yeah,
I feel like I might fall asleep in my meditations.
Yeah, and that's okay. When you first start out, you do start to fall asleep in your meditations, and that's great. It's, you're starting to activate what Herbert Benson, who's a professor in Harvard, he terms it activating your relaxation response. And I'm exactly the same as you, Abby. I think when I heard about that research, and there's stacks of research on it, is the deepest sleep we know is REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. That is when you're at your deepest sleep. Okay, so you think in the middle of the night when you're in your deepest sleep. Equivalent when you're in a deep state of meditation, which could be just 10 to 15 minutes, you activate the same level of deep REM sleep, which is fascinating. And particularly as mums, I think sleep is like the golden discussion, isn't it? Like, we all want sleep. I'm about to have a baby again. I'm about to go back into the trenches, in the early newborn stages. And I know that if I can't pick up sleep in the day, if I can't get those naps in and try and clock up some hours, is meditation is going to give me, 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to give me the equivalent of deep REM sleep. And in answer to your question, I've had many experiences, which is when meditation has really worked for me, where I've been super stressed out, really overwhelmed, full of anxiety. And I've just taken a moment and gone, I just need to meditate. And I've dropped into meditation. And the way that I come back around is like I've had a 3-hour sleep after 15 minutes, many times. So it's worth persevering. It's worth persevering, because once you can get to that level, it doesn't become a chore anymore to meditate. Meditation becomes, it's a gift, it's easy to access. It's just, I think a lot of people, there's that baggage around it, like that, as I said, that it's woo, and that you sit there with your legs crossed, and you have to be somewhere to meditate beautiful. You don't. Actually doing it in a busy environment is great, because it's real, like you're there and you're just connecting with yourself.
It looks like we've had a few comments from the community, from attendees, saying that they're trying, that it is overwhelming, feeling that their mind is wandering, but they definitely want to keep going. So
brilliant.
Hear about the benefits and sticking with it.
Yeah, and that's, as I was saying, is just remember that you're noticing your mind is wandering, but that's great. That's all part of the training. It'll just eventually, your mind won't wander as much. When you first start going back to the gym, who finds that hard after having a baby? Like going back into exercise, it's like, oh my God, my muscles, like I'm embarrassed. I've got to sprint in front of people, boot camps or whatever. But, it's that training. You just got to start, and it will start to get easier, and it's going to support you mentally massively. Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
So being passionate, as a working mum, and what I found is obviously having that energy. We need those well-being tools and self-care tools to help us stay energized, which is going to in turn help us feel passionate. But again, it's about discovering, okay, and I think being really curious as to what your passion is. And to find out what your passions are, you need to take time for yourself again, and you need to find that stillness to actually not be overwhelmed and have all of these things going on and all these windows open, so you can actually connect with what your passion is. So again, being a mum, and I understand, and running businesses in a household is, how do you find that time? You've got to prioritize. You have to prioritize that time for yourself so you can discover what your passion is. A lot of people say to me, oh, you're lucky, you found something you're super passionate about. You're always working in areas that you like. And I said, well, I'm not lucky. I've created my own luck, in a sense, where I've tried different areas, lots and lots of different business areas, and I've also sat with it. And I've had businesses that haven't worked. I've had businesses that have worked. I've worked in different areas that I loved and others that I haven't. But what I've noticed is that I've sat with it over the past 5 years and really thought, that makes me feel really good. That makes me feel really passionate. Actually, that drains my energy, and I don't really like that. Even though I should be going down that direction, how does that feel to me? So hopefully that resonates with some of you. Is, again, it's coming back to taking time. You've got to sit with it and see if that makes you feel passionate from there. So for me, I love seeing women grow, with their businesses and providing tools to help them. And I've known that over the years, when I've sat with people and given them advice and given them tips, when they've walked away, afterwards and said, wow, I've really noticed that growth in business, and that feels really good. And thank you for those simple tools. You obviously see that really clearly. And I said, well, that's because I've been in business for a long time now. But the way that made me feel afterwards was wonderful. That made me feel really passionate about what I'm doing. So it was the feeling that made me feel, passionate and connected. So that's why I continue to do this and drive that in my business. I think that with passion also, procrastination, so many of us have got these ideas, brilliant ideas, and we just think, oh, I just don't have time for that. I just don't see how I'm ever going to be able to do that. And my advice to you is, just do it. Just start sowing the seeds and reaching out to a couple of connections of people that might be involved in the industry that you're thinking about or what you're wanting to do, and just go down that road and see if it is your passion. You've just got to try and put yourself out there, and that's the only way that you're going to learn and understand where your passions are. If you just think about things and, oh, I actually love making cakes, how am I ever going to move forward with that? Is start making the cakes, start getting your friends involved, start the process. Otherwise, you're never going to get there. So you've got to do things to be passionate. You've got to try things out. You've got to really learn to sit with it and see how it connects for you. And yeah, just learn from your lessons, make mistakes. And when you make those mistakes, you're going to realize, oh, that didn't make me feel good. I wasn't really passionate about that. And then move on and try other areas. So that kind of really stems from feeling passionate and feeling energized from there. That's worked for me. So has anyone got any? I know we've got some questions anyway that have come up before for the end of the session. Does anyone have any questions right now? Raise your hand if you have got a question.
Rebecca?
Hi, Rebecca.
Hello. I wanted to just go back to your meditation information. I tend to meditate before bed and I end up falling asleep. Can you talk me through, how do I either do it, is that bad? Am I going to still get the benefits of that? Or, should I find another way to meditate? I listen to guided meditations and they send me off to sleep. So
yeah,
am I actually getting any benefit from that? Or should I try and find another way to get meditation into my life?
Yeah. Good question. And thank you. Because I think this is really relevant. And I don't want to take that away from you. That's obviously something that's working for you and it's helping you sleep, which is wonderful. What I would suggest is that you now add in a meditation in the day as well. So finding in your schedule what's going to work for you, whether that's in the morning or whether that's in the day. But now removing the fact of using an app, so you don't need an app, and that you're starting to connect with yourself and your breath, and you're actually becoming self-aware of the present moment rather than using an app which is giving you positive affirmations to drop off to sleep. Now add in another meditation and actually sit with your breath and notice your mind wandering and bringing it back, because that's going to build your attention span, that's going to build your intuition, that's going to build your awareness, and it's just going to keep you in the present moment rather than using it as a tool to fall asleep.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So if I did it in the day, would that help me be energized? Because obviously I use it as a wind down tool, and I do have, sleep well. So if I did your method in the day, would that help me set me up for the day? It would, obviously the opposite to what I actually use it for at the end of the day.
Exactly. So as I was saying at the start of the discussion, it's like bookends. You would be using it as a lovely tool as your relaxation at the end of the day, which is brilliant. There's no screen time. It's just you listening and then falling off to sleep. That's great. That's a lovely well-being tool for you to have, and will energize you because you'll get a deep sleep. But what I'm saying is, to get the real power of meditation is for you to use it as an energy tool, which is in the daytime, self-awareness, connecting with your breath, building your attention span, which is what's really hard for mums, because we're always, as I said, multitasking. So for you to just sit for 5 to 10 minutes to start, and just start noticing your breath. And there's different types of meditation. Like there's breath, which is simple but can be quite hard, and then there's ones where we can use small affirmations which will just keep us in the present moment, and I can share that with everyone who wants to know. But it doesn't have to be complicated to start. It's just about being in the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Hope that helped.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
And good luck with it.
Thank you.
Happy meditating. Anyone else? Does anyone else have any questions on those subjects? Anyone else want to raise their hand? Because I know we've got some other questions that have been sent in, I think.
Yeah, we do have a couple of questions from the community, from our drop-in community from earlier this week. So I might share those, and then please, if anyone else wants to pop a question in the chat box or raise your hand, we can do that also. So we had a question around, well, if you're short of time, how you can best fit in meditation each day, which we may have covered up somewhat, but if you'd be happy to answer that briefly for us, that would be awesome, Mandy.
Yeah, so as I was saying, if you're short of time, like as a mum, and working mums particularly, we're always short of time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all agree. My answer to that is you need to make time for yourself. That's where we've got to get real. And with all of this information overload, with all of this multitasking, the reason why there's such a high rate of burnout, particularly in women, is because there's too much. And we have to prioritize our self-care. Mm-hmm. We have to take that time. So if you can set up and try and make this a habit, then you're going to really benefit. And as I said to you, if you don't have time, when do you have time? Do you have time 10 minutes before you pick the kids up? Can you sit in the car park waiting for the kids and just sit there and connect with your breathing and meditate then? Can you do it on the bus when you're going somewhere? Can you do that for 10 minutes? When can you find the 10 minutes to start? Find that 10 minutes and start. It doesn't have to be sitting in your chair draped in velvet listening to, you know, beautiful music and the sound of the water. Let's get real. We can meditate anywhere.
Yeah, that's interesting you said that, because prior to that question I had actually said that's the time I'm finding to fit it in the days, sitting in the car waiting for school pickup, which is also when I need it the most, because I know I'm about to have, you know, 3 hours of homework, sports, lunch boxes, afternoon tea, just, you know, non-stop, well, right through till bedtime really. So for me, that's been a great way to fit it in.
Yeah, and it's also because you're going from businesswoman having, you know, all these conversations, etc., and you're going into mum world.
Yeah.
And you're into, you know, young children and then dealing with that. And so you do need, your brain needs to stop, take that time, and then you're into that zone. You know, it's very hard to just go straight in and rushing, and that is why we're starting to burn out.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then we also had another question, just generally, I guess, around top tips for women who have recently returned to the workforce, because it is a, I guess it is a, it's a transition.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I think, like, speaking practically first, I think what's really important, and one of the companies that I've been partnering with, Trio, they do this really well, is that they are making sure that people stay connected in the first place with the workplace. So if you can organise like a social activity, whether it's on Zoom because of what's happening at the moment, you know, where you can all get together and just feel connected before you're thrown back into that work environment, I think that's really, really important. And that's what Trio are doing. They're making sure that all their team members stay connected with that person that has been on maternity leave, so you don't feel like it's a real shock coming back. Same with the government, with maternity leave, they're offering like 10 check-in days that you can get paid for as well. So you actually take those 10 days. If no one knew about that, I again discovered that from Trio recently, because I'm about to go on maternity leave myself and have a baby. So that just means that you still keep a handle on the business in your role, and you can check in and help with the business and stay connected. And so then when you come back in, the transition's a little bit easier.
That's amazing. I had no idea that that was an option.
Yeah, so I didn't until recently, and it makes sense from the business point of view, because, you know, you still got that connection with clients, you're running, you know, your show and all that hard work that you put in before maternity leave, and you can take it up, you know, whenever you want throughout those days, and you'll still then receive your maternity pay from the government as well. So have a look into that, ladies, if you haven't. That's the 10 check-in days. That's the practical tips. In terms of well-being tools, I would say to not, you know, put such high expectations on yourself, and just really take it slowly. I think we as women, we put so much on our plate as well, to play the mum role and then the business role as well, and to keep up with the masculine energy in the business world whilst we're trying to be nurturing. And I think we just need to just chill with the expectations, and just, you know, listen to that self-talk that you're giving to yourself, and just try and nurture, and the mindfulness and the meditation is going to help you with that, because you're going to notice when your mind is wandering and you're giving yourself a hard time, and, you know, you just got to step back out of that and just realize that it is a big transition, and you've got to take it slowly and do the best that you can. You know, no one's got expectations on you, and go from there. So practice the well-being tools on the lead up to going back, and keep scheduling those self-care tools when you're back in the workplace as well. Yeah. And that's going to help you, you know, transition through.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did anyone else have any questions? Oh, Monica, I'll just take you off mute.
Hi, how you going?
Hi, Monica.
Hey, I've got a question more around, I guess, from leaving the corporate world. So for you, you kind of took a big step and left. and then kind of reshifted from there. But if you're already in it and you're not in a position where you can leave, what would you say are kind of the best things to introduce to kind of give yourself that refresh while staying in, like, say, the role you might already be in?
Yeah. So if you're in a corporate role already and you're coming away into having a baby.
Yeah, and then you may be coming back in, and just, I guess, if you're not able to just go, I'm going to reset and do something completely different for a while, how do you, like, what are the best things you recommend?
So going back into the workplace afterwards.
Yeah.
So as long as you're, if you're happy in your role, in your corporate role, and you're keen to get back, as I said, I think it's really good to stay connected with your teammates whilst you are away. So to make sure that you feel connected, that you're not just away and then suddenly you're back, and you've had this amazing experience, nurturing a child, and then you're suddenly back into that world. I think it's, as I said, I think it's key to stay connected and to start practicing some of these wellbeing tools that are going to support you when you do go back into the corporate world as well, so that you can keep them up. Yeah. I hope that helps, because it's such a transition. I think with the corporate world as well, it can be so structured, and coming from the mum world, which can be, lots of different, timings and things going on. It's just a matter of supporting yourself mentally, and making sure that you're in the right headspace. And hopefully, with what's going on, a lot of the time now, it might be easier to get back into the corporate world because you can have time from home. And I feel like a lot more employees are supportive of mums now, particularly, and giving you that flexibility. So it's worth speaking to your corporate employers as well to see what flexibility you can have with that, Yeah.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Yes, Liz, I'll just take you off mute.
Hi, just in terms of the meditation side of things, how do you meditate? So you're talking about how you don't use apps. Is that kind of like a way of cheating through meditation? I feel like sometimes I'm too busy listening to what they're saying that I might not actually be fully present in the moment. And how did you transition through that process?
Yeah. Hi, Liz. Thanks. That's a really good question. And the apps are really good to to start you off. But if I'm totally honest, apps are pretty much, just like you said, they are providing you with positive thoughts. You're not really dropping into meditation. What I started out with apps, and actually more in what got me passionate about it was with yoga nidra. So actually after a yoga session, I would drop into it, and it was, I would just go, and then I'd come back refreshed. But the way that I use it now is I do just connect with my breath, and I'm actually wanting to notice my thoughts. So in the morning, I kind of feel like it's sometimes like a crazy TV show. Like I'll sit there and be like, wow, look how many thoughts are coming into my mind. Like I need to do this. I'm in that doing mode. I do. But actually, I'll just watch all of those thoughts go past, and I'll always be just noticing the thoughts and bringing it back to my breathing, noticing the thoughts and bringing it back to the breathing, hearing the birds, just being very aware until I feel that I drop into deep meditation, which takes time. Like now I can drop in pretty quickly, like within a couple of minutes, and can sit for like 20 minutes into meditation. But last year that was different. There's also some short affirmations that you can say, which are like guided words, which will sit with you, which I'm happy to share as well. And I can let you know about them. And you can just practice just really short words that you just say over and over again. And it will just keep, as your mind wanders, you bring it back. As your mind wanders, you bring it back. But the more you can practice on your own without the apps, the benefits that you'll have, like through your intuition, building your attention span, it's just really, really powerful. So just keep persevering if you can.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
Okay, I've just popped your social handles in the chat so people can follow along, Mandy. I just had a quick final question for you. We spoke about how you were turning your passion into a thriving business and how that can take determination and the right focus on the bigger picture. And we know that you're the brand manager Survival and been doing that for lots of other smaller companies. So I just wanted briefly to touch on your passion behind this and any major tips to end on that. And to end on that, will you please come back after you have your baby to talk about that with us?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to. And this is an area for me, because I've been focusing on building my business and working in that new business area for the last 4 or 5 years. This is an area which I'm really passionate about, and time again I'm just working with smaller businesses, giving them tips, giving them guidance, and as I said, it just feels passionate for me. So I have got some tips, and that's definitely a whole new webinar, on business tips and tools. Finding your energy and finding your passion is one thing, and that's amazing, and if you can get that and nurture that, that's going to take you far. But obviously you do need the business tips then to really drive you and get you out into the market and know where to go and how to grow. So just some key tips on what you can do in terms of getting out there if you wanted to start setting up your own business or working in that area is to, again, feel into, your target market is going to be key. So making sure that you know who your customers are. And if you're working in the corporate world and you're thinking about setting up another business, is looking at your competitors. Just start looking around in socials on what they're doing and just follow them and see what's working for them and what engagement they're getting, and just start to take it all in and be aware of that. With your target audience, who's going to be your key customer, make sure that you understand who they are and their pain points. So whatever their pain points are, that's going to be something that you're going to market to. That's really important. So again, it's all about that intuition, focusing in and taking the time. But there's a lot more detail to that, but hopefully that just gives you a few nuggets and you can just start looking around. And as I said, I'll be putting out lots of content around this area, particularly supporting women. I'm already brand ambassador for a lot of other businesses, and I help them, and I just sit on their board and guide, and I'll be putting out lots of content, having a baby in 5 weeks. I'm hoping I can switch off and just be a mum, which is a challenge for me. And then I'll be back, and I'd love to do a webinar on business growth for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Mandy. We look forward to working with you on that and sharing that event with our followers soon. And also looking forward to following along your journey, especially over the next little while as you prepare and give birth to your baba. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time, Mandy, and a really big thanks to everyone for attending today.